Day from 9, BBC Radio Nottingham.
18 minutes past 8. Now, you might be familiar with this tale of how the game of rugby actually started. During a game of football, when William Ellis caught the ball and ran to the goal line. At that point, an international sport was invented, just like that. Now, two brothers in Nottinghamshire have joined the likes of Ellis by coming up with the fastest growing equestrian sport in the country. They were just having a bit of fun back in 2004 when they decided to tie a rope to a horse's saddle and hold on to it whilst riding a skateboard.
As you do. Well, 12 years later, somewhat surprisingly, horseboarding is growing with over 50 teams across the UK. And this weekend, the third round of the National Championships will be held here in Nottinghamshire. And BBC Radio Nottingham's Hayley Compton can tell you more now. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, Thoresby Hall is the backdrop here against a very blue sky. And the grass is green and plush. But it might not stay that way because I'm in the arena where the top 10 horseboarding teams will be competing this weekend. And I'm here with horseboarding's inventor, Daniel Fowler-Prime. How does it work?
Well, the basic principle, if you've not seen horseboarding, is you've got a horse with a rider on, towing a guy or a girl on an off-road mountain board or a skateboard, off-road skateboard mountain board, and they race around a twisting arena course in the fastest time possible. So they do the fastest time on Saturday and then the fastest time on Sunday, two different courses, and then those two times average together to get the winner.
I think I'd struggle to stay on. How difficult is it?
Well, of course, I mean, everything's like anything, it takes practice. So, you know, but the wheel is quite a good wide wheelbase on the boards, and they're quite stable, so it's quite easy for people to pick up the basics. Obviously, to master it takes a bit more time.
And how did you invent it? What's the story?
Well, in the shortest version, basically my background's working with horses in film and TV, and I was training some horses with a friend. We trained the horses in the morning, in the afternoon. He got a car out and tied one of these boards to the back of a car. We don't recommend you do that at home. And we were playing about with that, and then at the end of the day, it was a very slow penny drop moment. Is could we put it on the back of a horse, and if so, what would we do with it if we could do it? So experiments started then, and then over the last 10 or so years, it's developed into the sport it is today.
Now, waiting very, very patiently here, we've got Indy the horse, Amy who's riding him, and on the mountain board, attached from a rope to the saddle, is rider Tom. We're going to see a bit of a demonstration, so take it away. So if you could tell us, Daniel, what's happening now?
Yeah, well, they're just taking up the tension now and just setting off as they go across the arena, breaking into the canter. And basically, it's a lot about teamwork when you're working, competing, because competitions, after 2 days of competition, you can have a difference of like 4 teams within a second. So just as they're coming past now, so really these guys just get into, Tom's having a feel for the ground, getting a little bit of power sliding going on with the back of the board. And again, the board built and manufactured in Nottinghamshire by Tramper mountain boards, and they are world leaders in Tramper. You see Pony getting a little bit excited there with a little play around.
No, he does look excited. Does he enjoy this?
Oh yeah, very much so. All the horses really enjoy it. If anything, when we first start training the horses, we have to teach discipline to them, because they often think that once they get the rope on them, they can just go flat out. And often what that leads to is the board rider landing on their face several metres down the arena.
They've just come very, very close to us. How do you get people to do this? Like, I can't imagine that conversation that you have with someone.
Well, actually, they come to me nowadays. Originally, I had to convince people, but now people phone me up. We run training days very regularly throughout the country, and people, if they're interested, if they've got a horse and they're interested in getting involved, they can come along, and we train the horse, introduce the horse to the sport so that they're happy with it, and explain the safety elements involved. We've got specialist equipment. We've got what we call a dead man's handle, which if the horse rider falls off, the handle will automatically release, so that the horse won't be running around without a rider and with a rope. So we've all these things we have to go through, and then people can do an assessment, and then they're allowed to compete in the championships.
I can't imagine what the pitch might have been. This sport is grown now. How much has it grown?
The last 3 years, that was very close. The last 3 years has been where it's really, really developed. In the beginning of 2013, it was 6 teams, 3 board riders. It was a very small community really of us. And now we're over 40 teams registered on our website, horseboardinguk.org. And we had 36 teams enter last year's championship. And this year we're around 20 teams which are building up. So, it's growing as fast as you can count, really.
So it seems like such a mash-up, though. It's such a strange two sports to mash together. How do you get traditional horse riders and skateboarders together?
Well, sometimes a lot of the skaters and surfers and stuff, they've got their sport, and same with the horse riders, really. If they're very accomplished within a sport, then they're into it, and that's it. But we're trying to find that people enjoy it so much because it's such a team sport, and there's not two elements, there's three elements. There's the horse rider, and the boarder, and all three have to be on the same wavelength and thinking exactly the same to get around the course in the best time possible. Okay,
this weekend there's going to be 10 top teams competing. Who are the favourites?
Well, the favourites would be the Dead Pigeons, which are 4 times national champions. However, the last event down in Tame 2 weeks ago, they were beaten by UK Border Force, and they've been biting on their heels. So we're expecting they're currently drawing in the championships with 19 points each, and we're expecting a bit of a battle this weekend.
Well, there we are. You can see horseboarding taking place at the Thoresby County Show this weekend.
And have a look on our Facebook page right now, BBC Radio Nottingham on Facebook, to see it in action. It's the strangest thing.